We're going to give this a shot and see if it works. I'm on the road in Detroit, and the MacBook Pro I use to actually do this actually went under. I'm going to give you a second to see if we get anybody on. I don't even know if we're going to get anybody on. I'm going on early tonight. I understand that, and we'll we'll run with this and see if anything happens. So yes, it's Jeff Colson, junior hockey advisor, going on a little bit early tonight. Uh, Once again, the MacBook Pro that I normally travel with, that's the heartbeat of the whole studio that I use. The screen went dead on it today, so I was in the Apple store. The best I've got right now is I've got my iPad and my phone. I'm going to give this a shot, see how well we do tonight. I wanted to catch you up on the trip. I want to catch you up on the first week of scouting for the year. I want to catch you up on what the next week's going to look like and give you some process. I want to also answer a few questions. I don't know if I'm going to be able to see your comments. Please comment. Please put as many comments as you can. I'm very interested in seeing how the comments come in. Uh, I'm going to try to pick them up off my phone if I can. That's the only way right now I know that I can do that. So bear with me a little bit as we're waiting to see. And we are growing an audience on some of the different platforms. I'm still able to shoot this out to 4 different platforms. But what I'm not able to do is normally I'm able to monitor everything and do some production or some light production stuff. But we'll see. So anyway, I've got it up live on my phone too. I'll turn down my sound and good. Dan and Jeff Fogelberg and Terry are watching. Please throw in some comments if you can, and I'll be glad to try to answer some things. But I want to talk to you about the first week. As many of you know, I took a position as a player development. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is here. Okay, because this is on an iPad now. I'm a little bit different than having my normal camera up there. I'm a player development director now with the North American Hockey League team. So I went on the road for the first time this weekend. It's been a couple of years since I've been in this role, in this mode, and we tackled Troy, Michigan for the Maha event. And the Maha, for those that don't know what Maha is, that's the Michigan Amateur Hockey Association. Basically, what it is it's all of the teams that are going to be playing in the States, and just a little showcase to get the year running. So got a chance to get out, watch a lot of hockey, catch up with a lot of college coaches, junior coaches, and 18 coaches I've known over the years, and had a chance to watch a lot of hockey, watch a lot of hockey players. So I did see some comments from some of you that were actually in the rink and said, hey, we looked over our shoulder and saw you sitting up in the scouting area. And yeah, don't be afraid if you see me up there to stay high, wave me down, between periods, between games. Love to chat, love to talk to people. That's what I'm here for. So there's other people that I thought I'd run into that said they wanted to chat. Hopefully I'll catch up to you next time. So a few things. I've talked about the process before about how junior teams and college teams usually go about the scouting process. And I want to reiterate this because I think it's important. When you walk in as a scout to an event, you come in, you sign in. There usually is a table full of paperwork for all the different teams. There's their lineup sheets or their rosters. Either they'll give you just the roster from A to Z and all the contact information for the coach, or they'll actually lay it out sometimes elaborately with pictures. If you look for the example of Honey Baked actually put out a nice little double fold with pictures of all the players on the inside. Really nice. That's on the top end. You'll get something like this. Normally, you're going to just get a one sheet lineup sheet that can be adjusted. So it's got the 3 lines at the U18 level, usually 2 sets at D, maybe 5D. You usually don't see 6D running at the U18 level. And then who's your 2 goalies, and then you can watch those. So that's important for the scout to grab. So you sign in, you grab the sheets. Now, I've told you before that you get on lists different ways, and you can be on a coach's list many different ways. We had kids that we had already earmarked that we wanted to watch for this weekend. We were looking for specific players, and I have that list of specific players that I'm going to come in. I'm specifically, yes, that word's going to be used a lot, specifically going to watch this one certain player. If you could tell me how my voice is doing on the microphone. I have a backup microphone right now. So any comments you could give me on that to let me know if the microphone is working, I sure would appreciate it. it looks like we've still been growing the audience, so that's good. So I've got my list of players that I'm actually going to be working in watching in each game, and that's a limited number. Usually it's 1 to 3 players per team. Over the course of an event, and there's 5 games a day, so there's six times 5, maybe 30 is probably on the high end. I think I came in today with maybe 8 to 10 players that I specifically wanted to watch. Specifically. Now that's one list. That's the team generated list. Another way of getting on a list is to reach out to the league or reach out to the team through their website and fill out their their future player list or their prospect page or whatever they put on their website or whatever they call it, depending on league to league, team to teams, it changes. But you want to get your name on that list because it does generate a list for the team, and that information is followed up on. The other thing that's really important to know is I also had a list of every player that emailed us and sent us their information and sent information this last week or two. So as this event got closer, people started emailing the team saying, hey, we're very interested. We're going to be at this event. If you're at this event, can you please watch me? I watched them. Okay, every one of the players that were on that list. Now, once again, I had my priority list of what I wanted to watch, but there's also that secondary list that generated the interest in themselves, but it still played into my hand. I still watch those. And that's the way it works for most programs. If you reach out, they're going to give you some time if you're at a showcase and watch. You might get 1 to 3 or 1 to 4 on the ratio, meaning for every second I watch, a person that is on my list, or for every second I watch you, I'm going to watch them 4 times more. That very well could be. But if you weren't on the list, that's putting you on a list. Now, once again, remember, I said I'm watching 8 to 30 kids on a normal weekend on my list. Maybe I've got 10 to 15 kids that emailed me. Okay, so now I'm at somewhere between 18 and 40, 18 and 50 kids that over the course of 3 days I'm going to watch and take notes on. Okay, remember how many kids are at these events? Each team has 20 kids. There's 40 kids in each game, and I'm watching 5 in a row. So the last time I did the math, that's 200 kids. I'm not taking notes on every single kid. I'm not watching every single kid. So I'm watching the specific kids that I came to watch. Yes, that's that word again, specific. And I'm watching anybody that reached out to us. That's the 2 lists that I'm watching. Now, I'll sit back and I'll watch overall for anybody that really grabs my eye for doing something unique, above average, standout, making a play that's just amazing. But if they do it once, I might put a little check mark next to their name. If they do it twice, then I'm putting notes down. And it might get them moved over into, hey, I want to watch them again list. But you're going into events where coaches have specific things they're looking for. They want to cover the players and the things that they have to, the needs that they need to fill. If I'm there to watch for a right-handed defenseman and you're a left-handed winger, there's a good chance that I'm not even watching you, even if you're having a great shift. So you've got to do things to get yourself put up higher on the list. You got to do things to make yourself stand out a little bit more. One of the things you can do is email coaches and get them thinking about you ahead of time. It doesn't hurt to do this. And it should be done every single time you play in a showcase, every time you know there's going to be a possibility of junior and college coaches watching. And to be honest with you, in this event, if anybody reached out to me for U16, I was not watching U16 this weekend. I was really only tuned into U18 players. That's all I wanted to do was watch U18 players. So the next event where I go to with 16s, I may have incorporated some 16 games in too, but that wasn't my purpose. That wasn't my mission for this weekend. I'm specifically, there's that word again, I'm watching one area that I locked in on. Now, I hope that helps a little bit because it's extremely important. Now, the question came in a couple different ways, and right before the show, and thank you, Vince, for asking this question. The question came in, what should I be saying when I write a coach? What should I be saying when I write a college coach? I'm young. What kind of things do you talk about? What kind of things do you say? That's pretty simple. What I and honestly, I was going to bring this up too. Okay, if the email to a coach is 10 paragraphs long and it includes phrases like, I patrol the back line with a furrowed brow. looking to support my teammates against a menacing attacking opponent. Whoa. Mom wrote that. Okay. There's no hockey player that's ever written something like that in the history of hockey. Ken Dryden was an attorney and has written multiple books, and nothing ever came out of his mouth that colorful. Now you think I'm kidding, but I just received one very similar to that this week, and it was like, holy smokes. Keep it simple. The first thing I can say is keep it simple. Facts, facts, facts. Yes, there's some ways that you might want to pop in your emails. There's some things you might want to say, show your confidence, show your creativity. But if mom's writing it, it's not the right thing to do. What you want to do is have mom edit whatever you write, or have mom and dad help you edit it, or say, take suggestions from mom and dad, like, well, you think you need to say that, or maybe you should add a little bit here. But here's the way it usually should go. Who are you? What position do you play? What's your age? What's your height? What's your weight? What's your birth year? And more so than your age, put it by birth year. Hi, my name is Jeff Colson. I'm a 1964, and I am a left-handed defenseman. Okay, I'm 6'2" and 180 pounds. Okay, whatever you need to do to just make that very, very simple. Here's why I'm interested in your program. And you don't have to butter a coach up more, but you say, I think I'm prepared to play at the NCDC level, at the CCHL level, at the North American Hockey League level, whatever level that team is in. I think I'm prepared to play for that, and back it up with some statistics. And then that's when you say, I've led my team in scoring for the last 2 seasons. I have the best plus minus. I'm consistent, the most consistent player on the PK. My goals against average is this. You can put some statistics in there, but don't add 2 or 3 pages of statistics. And nobody wants to know about the house tournament you played in when you were a peewee or a squirt. Okay. Recent information. If you're U16, U15, 16 information is plenty. If you're U15, you might want to go back to, if you played at Quebec and you played at the major division in Quebec, you can start with that, because once again, that's a distinguishing thing. Not many kids get to play in the Quebec tournament. Not many kids get to play in the top tournament, the division of that's something you would want to mention. Now, if you're U18, you can go back to 16s if you want, but you're 1 or 2 years in U18, you want to just, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm really good at, here's what my coaches say about me. Then ended up with a couple references. Here's a couple people you can talk to about me. 1, 2, 3. That's all you have to do. You do not have to make this anything longer than a few hundred words at tops. You just don't want to make this very long and dragged out. What you do want to do is you want to make sure that it's factual and that it's easy and it flows easy. Here's who I am. Here's all my vital statistics, and here's why I want to play for you. Okay. And that why is where you can be a little bit unique. Okay, I want to play for you because you've got a great reputation. If a program is not in first place and they're battling the bottom, I think I can help you get to the top. I think what my skills are, and what my great teammanship, my leadership skills, whatever that is, put that on there and see if that helps you, and see if that helps you actually get the door open. Okay, now another thing about when you're when you're reaching out to coaches and teams, some people go, yeah, I wrote that program and they never got back to me. Don't read into that at all. Don't read into it that teams don't get back to you. If, let's say this week I had 30 different players, that's probably high, probably 20 players reached out that I got emails from this week. Okay. So I got 20 emails. I'm not going to respond to each one of them right away. One was a high school player in the South. One was a kid from the West Coast, a few kids from Michigan, a few from the East Coast. You get the picture. I've got kids from everywhere, all at different levels. And if I reach out to the kid that's a high school player in the South and I send him an email back immediately, that's building some false hope. Hey, I'm going to be watching you. Whoa, North American Hockey League team's watching me. And that turns into something that I don't want to build, that expectation that it means anything more than me watching him on hockey TV or watching him at an event live when I get a chance to. I'm going to do that. I am going to watch them. I am going to, track that player, but I'm not going to build up false hopes by getting a hold of them right away. That's probably the reason, the biggest reason you'll see programs not reach out, but it's not out of laziness. It's out of building a relationship and a communication path that they don't want to turn into something that it's not yet. Okay. When we want to reach out to you, we do. And that's the junior level, that's the college level. When we want to establish a relationship with you or your parents, we reach out. We call you, we email you, we text you, and we say, hey, it's time to get, let's get together and chat a little bit. So you may not see a program reach back to you for that reason right there. That's probably the biggest reason you have for not hearing from us. Okay, let's see if I've got any luck on the system. I'm going to check out the system here and see. I got a lot of people watching, and I got no comments coming in, at least on this platform. For some of you who have my DM, or everybody has the ability to DM, feel free to DM me a question. Let's see if I can pick you up on some DMs. That might be the easiest way to work this. I'll leave my phone here and leave my DM open. Please, you can do it if you're watching on my friend platform. You can just DM the GM, Jeff Colson. If not, just use Facebook DM or my Twitter DM and shoot me if you got my phone number, text me. I would gladly like to know if this is coming across. I see we're still holding an audience. That's good. That's real good. So I hope that helped a little bit. It's extremely important to reach out to coaches. It's extremely important to email teams or to register with the league and the individual team if they have that prospect page. And most teams do. They have a place where, are you interested in playing for us in the future? Make sure you fill that out. College, juniors, it's important that information gets out there. Doesn't mean you'll get solicited. Some programs do solicit that information. Does it mean that if you fill it out through the league, that the league can manipulate that information in other ways to invite you to clinics or camps? Of course they can. Of course they can. And maybe some of those are really not tied into playing on that specific team, but it is what it is. And if it's the price you have to pay to move forward and get yourself on lists from individual teams, then my suggestion is do it. You do it and make it happen as quick as you can. Okay, so we've been going now for 17 minutes. We're holding an audience. I'm going to go for a few more minutes. I don't know what to do about questions right now. I see no way of actually doing it on this screen here in front of me. So I'm going to assume that this is just going to be me chatting for a little bit, unless I see some things pop in on either the DM or on Facebook. So yeah, what I can do too is I'm going to check the Facebook discussion group and to see if I can do anything to manipulate that. Once again, sorry about this platform tonight, folks. There's nothing I could do about it except for tell you that, okay, it says, Jeff told me it sounds good. So at least we've got some communication going on here. So if you got any questions, it looks like if you're watching on Facebook, on one of the platforms, you can actually reach out to me through that. So a couple of more things. I'm going to Blaine for the next week here. Well, I'm in Detroit now. Spend one more night here. I take off. I'm going to stop and see my son. As you know, many of you know, he just went through a major surgery right after his last North American Hockey League season. He's at college now. I'm going to spend a day or two with him, and then I'm going to head to Blaine. I'll be at Blaine for almost a week. What's my priority in Blaine? Twofold. Blaine is to watch NAPHL players, U18 NAPHL players. May watch a 16 game here or there, but really focusing on NAPHL players. And you say, why would an NAPHL player be important? Well, remember what we've talked about before. Remember some of the videos in the past. Every team has the ability to draft and to tender without taking away from their other drafts and tenders an NAPHL player. So to take advantage of that, you have to go out there and you have to do the work. So we'll have quite a few bodies in Blaine from our program. I think we'll have 6 or 7 people on our staff there that'll be watching players so that we can try to get the ultimate player out of the NAPHL that we can get, the highest quality player possible. It's tough statistically. We've talked about it. We talked about it a lot last week. Jeff Nygaard came in and gave you some great statistics. If you didn't get those statistics, just go into the comments after last week's live stream, and Jeff actually typed all the comments in and gave you some absolutely fantastic numbers that he tracks for how the different leagues perform as far as production. And the same thing happens at the U18 level. Now, the NAPHL is not, historically one of the leagues that are, the powerhouse to fill the NHL. The NAHL comes from the, for the most part, comes from the Tier 1 Elite League. And we've talked about that a lot. So, but it's important. We'll be doing this. There are some teams that will be there that are crossover teams. And those are teams that play some Tier 1 Elite and they play some NAPHL. We'll be able to actually use those to benchmark other teams and other players against. And then we start building lists and we start getting into the nitty gritty of actually force ranking players, which always is a fun thing. We talked about it before. I think I took notes with the list I had to cover with players that reached out to us and players I wanted to take notes on. I think I got notes on about 80, 85 players from this last weekend. I'll enter those into our back office system along with every other scout this weekend that was watching any games. They'll enter their notes into the system. We start building and developing this one master list for each age group and each player, and we can sort it in many ways. So if we're looking just at players from the NAPHL, we can hit NAPHL, and we want left-handed defensemen, we can pull that list up, and then we start force ranking each different category so that we have a nice accountability of every player possible at U18, U16. Don't go below that. We don't really work on that. And then we also watch different junior leagues to make sure that the any junior players that might not fit, they don't work in the USHL, they're popping down. Another team wants to trade a player. We have to be aware of all those other teams too, and what's going on with other junior players. And if you do a really good job, you're already ahead of the game because you probably got notes on this kid from the year last year or the year before, so that even though he's playing juniors on the East Coast for an NCDC team and something didn't work out, he's not on that team anymore for whatever reason. He chose to leave or the team chose to go in a different direction. Now you got all the records from his 16s and 18s because you've done a good job and you've got some detailed notes on him. That's the game. That's the way this is done. There is no secret to this. Some people love it. Some people can sit in the room. I pump in 6-8 cups of coffee during the day. I try to get up and walk around in between periods. But you're sitting there watching hockey all day long. And at first, until you get the first go round with every team is the toughest. And it's the most boring to watch because you don't know the players and you don't know their characteristics. You don't know what they're like. But what starts happening is if you watch the first game, you start writing notes down on players. And you like this about this guy. You like that about this guy. You don't like this about this guy. So the second time you go down, you're reviewing your notes. You kind of got a sense of who they are now. You know how they skate. You know a little bit about their style. Maybe you've talked to their coach and taken some notes about what the coach says about the players too. So the second time around, you start feeling a little bit more familiar with them. The third time around, you start actually watching to see to prove your hypothesis that you're building on the player. In other words, I've built a bias in on some of the things I'm writing down about. Average skater, decent hands, doesn't look to go in the corners. Okay, so I kind of set myself up there with those notes, and I'm just making this up right now. But now I'm going to prove it to myself. Either I'm watching the kid to see if he lives up to the notes I've written down, or do I have to change that and say, no, he improved his play in the corners. Last week must have been a fluke. He looked like a totally different player. You'll see that. You'll see that our scouts will actually put notes in, and they'll not like a kid at all. You see him the next day, and they're, hey, totally different kid. Or they'll see him a month later and say, hey, look, he's really improved. His confidence has gone up. So don't think because you have a bad game that necessarily is the end of the world for you when a junior or a college coach is watching you. Sometimes a bad game is awesome for you because it allows when you have your great game, the next game, that coach goes, holy smokes, wow, a totally different kid this time. Totally different kid. I didn't expect that out of him. Or, man, I saw a huge improvement out of him from the time before. So that's a little bit on the process, what's going on with me. Once again, I don't even know, today's Sunday. Got on the road Saturday morning, and I'll get back home somewhere either early Saturday night next week, or I'll get home, sometime between the wee hours of Sunday morning, or Monday. Not really sure where that's going to fit in yet, but we'll see how it goes along. I wish I could say I could take questions. Um, I'm looking at my screen right now. I'm actually going to close it and reopen it up just to make sure that I'm not missing any DMs or questions coming in. And if I do have questions coming in, I'll gladly jump on any questions. I see a lot of you have thrown thumbs up on. That's great. I don't see any questions coming in. So I'm going to wrap it up a little bit early tonight. I will stick around, and I'll use my iPad to type in notes, or I'll use my phone to type in some comments or some feedback. If you do have questions and you want to put it on our discussion page, feel free to do that. You can also put some comments on our YouTube page, wherever you're watching this, YouTube, Facebook, friends page, wherever you're watching. We'll be glad to jump on the notes, and I'll do whatever I can to try to answer some questions, or to actually make some comments for you. And hope you enjoyed a little bit of a taste of what it's like, from the other side. I got to also tell you, you know, parents are being watched at all times, especially when there's a situation like I had today at Troy. All the coaches are wrapping around on the upper level in the scouting room, and they're watching down. And all of us usually jump down for a little bit, for a period or two, because we know we're going to see some U18 coaches we want to talk to, or want to kind of get a pulse of the parent group. But as a parent, you're being watched at all times. Here's some of the comments that came in today on parents. Oh, that's a GoPro dad. What's a GoPro dad? That's a dad that runs behind his goalie, sets up his GoPro, films the period. As soon as the period's down, takes the GoPro off, runs down to the other side and puts the GoPro behind his kid on the other side. There is a little bit of need for that, but probably not as much as you think. That gets a name upstairs. Double GoPro dad is the one that wants to actually give his son a perspective of the other goalie, and use that to coach his son too. So he has a GoPro on both ends, and then leaves the feeds going. So he's got a picture of the other goalie too, so he can do a comparison of how they played in the games. That's the positive names that you get. But a lot of things are, it's very, very funny that even some of the Division I college coaches are up there, poking fun at some of the things that parents were doing in the stands. Nothing malicious, but just keep in mind you're being watched. If a player makes a bad player and he looks right over, or he skates by his parents and looks at his parents and shrugs his shoulders, or goes, "What? I didn't know I made a mistake," or whatever the face in the stands, that gets noticed. The other name is she's a bag carrier. That's the mom that waits for her son right by the door, and as soon as her son at 16, 17, 18 comes out, is checking his cheeks, fixing his hair, grabbing his bag or his sticks and helping him carry things out. Maybe even saying, "Do you need a snack right now? Do we got to take you to the emergency room? Do you need to see the acupuncturist? Do you need to see the medic?" That's the bag carrying mom. Give them a little distance. Give the kids a little distance. They're a little tougher than we want to think. We all have that urge, but maybe wait to the car, because all that stuff gets noticed. It's talked about. I'm not saying I'm up there talking about this stuff, but I listen to a lot of it, and this is coming from some of the most major Division I teams down to the lowest level junior programs are up there. It's being chatted about all the time. So, all right. With that said, I'll stick around online. If I got any comments coming in that I can put some or I can respond to, I will. Otherwise, my MacBook Pro is getting fixed in Detroit. Actually, Summer Place Mall. Where was that mall? The mall in Troy. I can't remember the name of it. I don't go to malls very often. Walked in there and anxiety attacks hit right away, but I dropped it off at the Apple store, and they're going to ship it back to my home, and all fixed and ready to go for hopefully next week's broadcast. And we'll kind of figure out how we're going to roll with next week. It might have to be a Monday night broadcast. So with that said, have a great night, and I'll try to respond to any comments I can as we go through the rest of the night. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. And I got to figure out how to turn it off.